Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
All right, welcome to the show today. Welcome to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host. Taking my hat off. I had to take my glasses off. I'm your host, Tom Fallbush. We're doing a special show today that is really a continuation of just the coverage of all things related to the Charlie Kirk assassination, and just a lot of updates over the weekend, a lot of things to talk about. And listen, America's still going through a grieving process over this, and we still want to hear from you. We still want to get some feedback from you, the listener, and we have a text line. It's 502-571-0970, 502-571-0970, and I want to hear your thoughts about, first of all, obviously the tragedy was a tragedy. Just curious how you're dealing with this, but also where should we go from here, right? Where should America, where should the conservative movement, where should those that supported Charlie Kirk's work, what should we do? Where should we go? What should we expect? Is what's being done now, which is a whole lot of, calling out of people that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's demise. People are being, they're losing their jobs, they're being called out, they're being shunned and embarrassed, which I think is totally appropriate. But should we continue that effort and expand it further? And also that topic. Also, is this a moment for an awakening in a sense? Really a spiritual awakening. If you haven't had a real spiritual framework to viewing life, then the past few years, I think, is kind of knocking at your door in a sense, going, hey, maybe there's something more to the world than just, material things, politics. Maybe there's something like good and evil that's out there, and because if you don't see what happened on Thursday is evil, then first of all, you need to check your heart. And I think most people see it as demonic evil. I mean, why would someone do this? This is just, and especially if you look at the perpetrators and the just the cabal around this kid that planned this, and just all the murders leading up to this, all these. Let me just say it: the LGBT movement that has spawned a terrorist movement within that world, and that's just evil. There's just something dark and evil and demonic about it, and so that kind of shakes you a bit. You go, hold on, what evil? Well, if there's really evil, there's dark forces in this world, then there must be good forces in this world. What is that? Maybe there is a spiritual reality. Maybe there is a God. Maybe there's, and maybe that's what this country needs. And maybe the reason why we're running into all these problems is the fact that we pulled away from our roots, our spiritual roots as a country. And people are just starting to wake up to that. And I'm going to have my co-host Bob Scott on with us today. I don't know if Bob's on the line yet, Mr. Producer. Is he with us?
I'm here, Tom, if you can hear me.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. And there we go, Bob. So, we've all been processing this, watching the news over the weekend, but one of the big takeaways that I've taken from this, we got a minute left. We'll expand more on this in the next break too. But just there seems to be a real spiritual awakening that this has triggered. And I don't know how many videos and posts that I've seen over the weekend of saying, you know what, I'm going to go to church for the first time in my life because of this. This Charlie has inspired me. I've always, like one fellow, I always listened to Charlie Kirk, agree with everything he said, except I couldn't get into the God stuff. It never really made sense. But now it kind of makes sense, and so I think I need to go to church. And so we're going to go to break. Bob, I'm really curious to get your thoughts on that. Is there a spiritual awakening happening in this country from this? The blood of the martyrs, is the seed of revival. Maybe this is what's happening. Also, we'll talk about what we should still be doing against the left. And so we'll be right back. We want to hear your thoughts too. 571-0970. Text us. We want to hear your thoughts. We'll be right back.
Now, Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush. I've got my co-host, Bob Scott, on the line, and we are still just discussing and grieving and dealing with the whole Charlie Kirk assassination and just what this means. America, we still have not processed this yet. It is such a public event, such a dark, twisted thing that just happened in front of everyone. It's I think the only thing comparable is maybe JFK, maybe Martin Luther King. But JFK was televised. Martin Luther King's wasn't. But this was so televised in front of an audience of 3,000 people witnessing this, and so it's just a striking thing, especially in this day and age of media. And so, but Bob, we were talking about how there is I think one result of this is people waking up to the need of that they need a spiritual life. They need something, beyond just politics, beyond just logic and reason. And there's some spiritual needs here that this country has. Matter of fact, before we get into your thoughts, let me play a clip here of some folks saying exactly that over the weekend. So, Mr. Producer, I'm going to pull this video real quick.
After Wednesday, after Charlie Kirk's, so many people flooding the comments, flooding the zone, saying I'm going to church. Videos like this all over the internet.
And the page that I opened up to was the verse, John 8:32. And it said, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I feel like that changed me so much.
People who were OnlyFans models, people who were agnostics, people that were atheists, all of them not only having this private conversion, but doing it publicly and talking about it. This is the revival that Charlie Kirk so wanted with his life. Very popular, 5 million person followed country music singer had this to say.
Unfollowed me because I posted about Charlie Kirk and I said that Jesus Christ is Lord. Good. I don't want you to follow me. I don't want you to track my music. I don't want you to come to my shows. I don't want you to do any of that if you don't do this one thing, and that is follow Jesus Christ, the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords, the one who is, the one who is to come. He's coming back real soon. So if you have not gotten your heart right with him and dropped down on your knees and repented to him, today is the day. The hour is at hand. I don't know if you can feel it too. There's a heaviness. Something shifted, and I don't care. I don't care anymore. I just want you to know that Jesus Christ is here and he loves you.
What is this power right now? It's crazy. What is happening? Just incredibly powerful right now. Just remarkable. What is happening is truly a revival that Charlie would have wanted.
And how do you want to honor him?
I want Charlie to be remembered for his great faith because that's how he wanted to be remembered, for his courage and his faith. And, it's been said that the blood of the martyrs is the seeds of the church. It's the seeds of the church, and we're going to see great faith rise up across the country from this. I believe it in the world.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it there. So, Bob, that has been the sentiment. I'm hearing that churches are full this past Sunday. And it's anyway. Your thoughts on any of this?
Yeah, no, our church was full, and I've been hearing the same reports. There is, in fact, I said it the day after he was assassinated. We had a show, and I just felt in my spirit that the Lord was and is going to use this tragic event, and we're already just starting to see the rumblings of that. I will tell you, some of the things that are absolutely amazing. I know the Turning Point organization has already received 32,000 requests for new chapters. That's insane. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And
I know they only have 9,000 or maybe 6,000. I mean, it's very, it's quadruple what they have currently.
It's crazy. And I know that on Instagram, for example, he had about 2 million followers, which is a lot. before it happened. Well, he's now up to 12.2 million, so the attention of the country, and I will add this, Tom, the world is on this event, and I'm sure people have seen on Instagram. In fact, if we have one of those clips, it'd be great to play it. The number of people and countries that are stepping up and having prayer vigils, not riots, not protests, not burning, not looting, but peaceful prayer vigils throughout the world to honor this great man, this great martyr, for the cause of Christ.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, there is one tonight here at the University of Louisville, and I'm going to pull up the ad here in a second. But the college Republicans here at the University of Louisville are having a prayer vigil tonight in front of Grawemeyer Hall, which is right there where the Thinker statue is, and at the University of Louisville, right where the law school is. And they're going to have a vigil tonight, and which Bob, I think is really appropriate because UofL has been in the news. And you want to comment on how Louisville's been in the news here recently?
I don't know if it's always in a good light, but there's been some negative signage that's gone up down at UofL shortly after the assassination of Charlie. They had things that were posted down there, posters that depicted a caricature of Charlie with blood streaming out his neck where a bullet had hit him in the neck. Disgusting. Yeah.
With the words "debate this." This.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And it wasn't just one. There were several all over the campus. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's my whole point is, it's one thing, and that's the beautiful thing about Charlie is he had no problem with going in to the Lion's Den, which I don't think it's much of an argument that most college campuses in this nation are woke and liberal. He had no problem going into those very difficult places and basically speaking truth. He encouraged people that disagreed with him to come to the front of the microphone so he could talk to them first. And here's the deal, Tom. He always did it in a graceful, kind way. When those people came forward, it wasn't screaming and shouting. Now, he would get screamed and shouted at a lot, and cussed out. But he was always very kind, as to the way he received them, because he legitimately wanted to have a discussion, with regard to what was going on in our nation, and he through his technique and his way of doing it, and him just being Charlie Kirk, honestly converted a lot of people to his way of thinking, and again, doesn't mean he was always going to agree with you, but that's what America was founded on, and where we need to get back to is a basic civility that has to happen in this country. It has to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. But Bob, I'm so torn on how to move forward here, because what you're describing is what Charlie was doing. He had the arm reached out, in good faith. Hey, let's talk. Let's discuss this. And the far left killed him for it. And so, at this point, you wonder: are we done talking? Is it? Can you talk with these radically indoctrinated? Let me just say it: demonized people that are now murderous. And it's something about the far left throughout history is violence is just what they do. It's just part of what they're wired to do. They have no sanctity of human life, for one, and they see the oppressors as an unhuman class. If you're a part of the oppressor group, you're unhuman, and so you should just take him out. In the next segment, I'm going to play some clips of what a lot of the mainstream Democrat and left-wing politicians have been saying about Republicans and about Donald Trump and about people on the right using the word fascist and Nazi. That language has been just normalized over the past 10 years. And so, so I think there needs to be a reckoning. We mentioned this last week. There's a reckoning that needs to occur. I don't think there's a moment for kumbaya. This is a moment of consequences. And a lot of people are losing their jobs because of posting, celebratory comments about Charlie Kirk's death. And I think that's absolutely appropriate, because if you're somebody that celebrates the death of this family man, this father, somebody that, like you said, Bob, was reaching out to the other side to talk, because he knew the solution is talk. The other option is violence. So we'd rather talk. Well, they chose violence. And so anybody that celebrates that needs to be totally confronted and shunned and consequences. And we'll be right back and talk about Charlie Kirk and the prayer vigil tonight at UofL, 7:30. We'll talk more of that as well.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, so welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We're talking, still talking Charlie Kirk. We still need to process this as a country, and still, I think all this week there's going to be vigils, and I think the funeral maybe is going to be this Sunday or this weekend, but so I'm not sure what the arrangements are there, but we're going to keep you updated on that. But there is a vigil tonight at the University of Louisville, which I think is totally appropriate. Louisville needs to, they need to really show up in this moment, because they showed out last week how there's a bunch of communists on campus that were posting these posters up of Charlie being shot, and with the words "debate this." And so, pull that back up, Mr. Producer. So tonight's at Grummeyer Hall at 7:30, and it's for students, alumni. It's for the college Republicans are doing it. And just anybody, so students, alumni, Louisville community, anybody wants to come, I encourage you to be there. I'm going to try to be there tonight myself. We'll try to get some footage of that. If you want to know where Grummeyer Hall is, let me see. I've got another email here that will show you that. Let me pull that up real fast. This is, there we go, Mr. Producer. If we can pull this up, it is right there in front of this Thinker statue, which is right there. There's some parking near the Oval there, and then so it's it's right there near the law school. So tonight at 7:30. But so Bob, back to our comments earlier. We have the far left that is really created an environment for this, and they still do not seem to be backing down from their rhetoric. Their instinct is to still blame Charlie. It's like, well, if he wasn't such a radical, if he wasn't such this, that, and the other, he wouldn't have got shot. And it just, and then those that are just outright celebrating it, it's just sickening. It's just absolutely sickening. And Mr. Producer, I still have audio in my ear. So, by the way, thank you.
Yeah, no, Tom. In fact, we did off our text line. Someone did text in and said Speaker Mike Johnson, who I have a lot of respect for, was saying this weekend that those on the other side are not our enemies. This is the problem. They shouldn't be our enemies, but when you got people in Congress that are anti-American, and there are those there, then to me, they are the same as a foreign enemy. I don't know what the answer is. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, here's what I have to say about it. Let me pull this up real quick. This is a clip here from Twitter. it's a little meme that's where first square says shows a teacher saying, "Hey, they're all Nazis." Then a correspondent on television, "They're all Nazis," and then a musician and an artist saying, "They're all Nazis," and then down to the bottom right, there's a person with a gun and a rifle with red eyes. In other words, he's been whatever, converted to this. They're all Nazi, brainwashed. So that's, I'm sorry. The left has done this. The left has created this environment. And in a minute, I'll show actual video evidence of all these major left-wing figures using this language. So this is just where we're at. And so, and there needs to be consequences. And I just hope the left realizes it. I hope they start policing themselves, because if not, we're going down a very bad road. Because this will just turn into a cycle of violence. And Bob, you and I talked about this last week. If there's not serious consequences, if there's not a real turning of the left away from this stuff, and there's not a feeling that we all agree this is wrong now and we should move away. If that, then there are going to be those unhinged on the right that are going to react, and so of course I totally condemn that. Violence is, we don't need violence right now. We're winning the culture war. We're winning this battle. But
you just said something, Tom, that's right on the money. And in another group that I was having some discussions with about this, you used the key word. Why Charlie was killed was because he was winning the battle. He was winning the conversation. That's right. Everywhere that he went, he was winning, and the only answer for them was to do what they did, and that's to turn to violence. This shooter, a lot of the media on the left initially was trying to paint him as coming from a MAGA household, and his dad, in fact, is evidently in law enforcement, and it looks like he grew up in a decent family, but he went off to college. He's a very smart guy. I mean, I think he got a 35 or something like that on his ACT. Got a President's Scholarship to the university that he went to, but he clearly something twisted, something changed in him, and he was radicalized. Yeah. And it just goes to show it can happen anywhere, and that's he's not the first example of someone that was brought up in a good household, per se, that's gone off to college, the leftist universities, and suddenly they come back home and they're a different human being.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why everybody, if you have kids, and if you have college-age kids or kids that are about to go to college, you need to really consider what's going to happen here. Because if you send them to a traditional university, secular university like University of Louisville, UK, Bellarmine, just any liberal arts college, the professors, the academics has been so taken over by the far left. They do not see themselves as just, teachers of knowledge, of people that just explore ideas with your students. They see themselves on a mission to indoctrinate. They really do feel like they're doing heroic work by changing society, by using left-wing causes and teaching kids to be left-wing in their thinking. And they have no bones about what they do. They like, if they're going to assign you reading in a class for something, all of it's going to be left-wing. And if you're a conservative in a classroom, you're going to get picked on and belittled. And it's just so. The pressure there to conform to a liberal, to a leftist worldview is so strong. So if your child is not geared up for that, if they're not ready for that, if they're not part of an organization like Turning Point, then I would not send them to a university, because they're going to come back hating you. They're going to hate America, and they're probably going to come out gay. And that may sound a little extreme, but that is the prevailing cultural worldview. It is now cool to be part of that lifestyle. It is, and so that's why you see this social contagion of all this LGBT stuff permeating in Gen Z right now. It's like I think 20% of Gen Z now identify this way, when previous generations is maybe 1 or 2, 3%. It is a real problem, and so. Yeah, so be very wary of what and even Christian colleges. You need to prepare your child to say, listen, there's folks there that may not think the way we do, but let's talk about in other words, talk about worldview issues, with your child, and make sure they're prepared for what's going to confront them, because they're not going to hear the other side. They're only going to hear one side, and they're going to come out hating. I've seen it so many times. Bob, I'm sure you have too. Parents have sent their kids to college, and they come back.
I've sent a couple to college.
Kid,
I have one in college right now, and by the grace of God, my youngest daughter and oldest son and my youngest son were all pretty prepared. But they shared lots of stories as to the indoctrination that happens there.
Yeah, it is basically a left-wing seminary is where you're sending your kids to a left-wing seminary, because their religion is Marxism and all this LGBT woke stuff. And so if you don't understand that, then you're going to be rudely awakened when your kid comes back home and he's espousing all this stuff that, you're an oppressor, Dad. You're part of this class that's, racist and homophobe, and, you hate women and all. So we got to, well, anyway, we'll talk more about college here in a second, but anyway, tonight, University of Louisville, there are some good kids there. College Republicans are organizing a vigil, 7:30. We encourage you to be there. Vigil for Charlie Kirk. We'll be right back here on Kentucky's Voice.
Video online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush. We're talking the tragedy that happened last week with Charlie Kirk and the fallout, and where we're at as a culture. What are some of the things we've learned here? Where should we go? I'd love to get your thoughts. 502-571-0970. You can text us there. Also, we are in the midst of our share-a-thon. We already had a 2-week share-a-thon for this project scheduled, and so we're into our second week. And this, of course, this tragic event happened Thursday, and took a lot of our focus off of that. But one way you can help, one way you can fight back, is to support organizations like us, like Turning Point USA, people that are actually making a difference and trying to change the culture, change the narrative, bring a perspective to the media that you don't hear, especially here locally. Locally, there's no one with a conservative voice in this area besides us that I'm aware of. I mean, you might have a few people online, but when it comes to the mainstream traditional media, broadcast and TV and radio, no one's saying the stuff we're saying, especially on local issues. So if you want to make a difference, want to help, move the needle on issues that you care about, we ask for your support. You can do that by you can use the same text line. You can text the word give or donate to 502-571-0970, 502-571-0970, or you can go to our website, kyvoice.org, or there's a QR code on the screen where you can click on that. We've had a really good response this past week. Not enough. We haven't hit our goals yet because all this stuff takes money to do. This is not a profitable venture at all. That's why we're a nonprofit doing this. We just need to cover our cost, and we're happy, and we're doing this as a mission, not to make money. This isn't some money-making operation for us. If this is not, this is not enough of a conservative audience yet where advertising pays the bills, and it probably won't happen for a while. So we're going to need listener support to continue this. So if you ever consider giving to a politician or the Trump campaign or some Heritage Foundation, whatever you might give to that's conservative, consider us. We can probably do more with your dollar than any politician can, because we can help every politician in this state that lines up with our values. And so it's really a force multiplier to support Kentucky's Voice. So And speaking of some of the things we did, I'm going to pull up a picture here back in July. Bob Scott, my co-host today, he went out to Shepherdsville, and where
it was actually June 30th, Tom, that rally happened at, and it was my son Zach and I covered it for Kentucky's Voice, and little did we know, obviously, what was going to happen just a little over 2 months later. The tragedy that was going to happen. And
there's Charlie Kirk on the screen here for those listening on radio. There's a picture of Charlie at the Nate Morris event.
Charlie was there, obviously, to endorse Nate Morris for the U.S. Senate. I will say that probably 95% of the people, and it was a packed house. Everywhere Charlie went was a packed house. 95% of the people there were mainly there for Charlie Kirk. Nothing against Nate Morris, but Nate knew that too. Because Nate.
That's why I brought him in. Yeah,
that's why I brought him in.
That's right.
But that tells you the reach and the power. And it was amazing too, Tom. You saw a cross section of people that were there, black and white and Asian and, different types of people, young, old, that were there because that's the kind of impact that this Turning Point USA founder was having, on our nation. And he was, as usual, his usual whimsical self there and right to the point, as far as things that he was sharing with the audience. And I think that's another thing that why people admired him so much. He wasn't afraid to take a stand, and share what was on his mind. And again, it was always in a very thoughtful manner. That's one of the things that they've been talking a lot about him, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners have seen tons upon tons of stuff over and over again that talked about the word courage, and it's interesting. The shirt that he was wearing, that he was assassinated in, and I got to try to keep from getting choked up about this, but it was a white shirt and it had freedom on it, and quite frankly, my family and I ordered that same shirt, over the weekend, and something we plan on wearing to remind people that Charlie's death was not in vain. I do feel, Tom, you said it earlier in the program, that he's a martyr, and we know that 11 of the 12 original apostles were martyrs. And what happened with each of them when they were martyred? Well, the Bible talks about, lest a seed fall in the ground and die, it won't bring forth life and multiply and come out, and we know when you put a seed in the ground and plant it, it's symbolic of martyrdom or new life, if you want to look at it that way, that will come forth from that one seed, know, and that's what I truly believe. I do. I believe that even though as evil and despicable this act was, the God, our sovereign God, is going to use this to bring forth a harvest like we've never seen. Yeah. I'll just say it. I'm calling it into existence. We're going to see a harvest like our country has never seen as a result of this one man's tragic sacrifice.
Yeah, let me add to that in this sense too. Folks that follow conservative politics, many of them are Bob, you and I are outspoken Christians. We use religious language in our conversation every day. There's a lot of folks that just aren't. They're conservative, but they're not spiritual, not Christian people. Yeah. And I would say probably half the conservative movement, half the Republicans out there probably aren't churchgoers, and
yeah.
But they're all very concerned about where the country's going. They can see this dark cloud that has emerged that's come over the country. And I think one thing this Charlie Kirk did in his message is to really elegantly, blend the message of the gospel and why a Judeo-Christian worldview and a Christian perspective to life is where conservative, ideas and foundations come from. It's where this country was built on. It was built on a Judeo-Christian framework and understanding of where our rights come from God, and that this has to be a Christian country in order for it to be good. Not just, obviously you can be a good person and not be a religious person. I get that, but you can't justify it. And there's very often not a lot of power there to be good, because you need some sort of spiritual, existential meaning in life to kind of help, power through and have the courage to be good. And so I think this moment of his assassination has driven home to the average conservative, even that may not be very spiritually aware or inclined, that, I understood that there's a moral battle in this country. There's a cultural battle. And I thought maybe I could fight it, with, staying at home, being, having some good words, or just voting the right way, but not really changing anything in my own life or my own heart. And I think this has driven home that that's not enough. I think America, in order for it to really return to its roots, we all really need to return to our spiritual heritage and get our own lives lined up with the divine. And once that happens, then a country has the moral strength to correct its issues that we're having. And so I think this moment, because the left is, a lot of them are just lost. God bless them. We need to bring them back into some right thinking. But even those on the right, a lot of us have not been very attuned to our own faith and what we need to. So I'm seeing a lot of people that are conservative that are like, I agree with everything you said. I just didn't go to church, didn't really believe in this God stuff. I'm now kind of reframing that, because you can't deny there's evil in this world. There's evil in this world. And I'm now kind of woken up to that. There's evil, then there's good. And that means there's a spiritual war. So anyway, your thoughts on that? I think it's a revival in the right that's going to occur.
Yeah, it's right on the money. In fact, I just sent you something on your email that I'd like to share with our viewers and listeners. Probably have to do it the next segment, but it really shows what's going on in the world. We know, and you're right, Tom, you said it so eloquently, as a Christian, and Charlie knew as a Christian, that this world isn't it, if you will, that there is, we're all going to die. It doesn't matter who you are. At some point, we're going to pass from this existence into eternity. And at the end of the day, that's what's the most important thing, is if you, as a believer, and have accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior, you know that there is an eternity that waits for you that's going to be good, and that's where Charlie is right now. He's now celebrating with the other saints, and I'm sure received very well into the kingdom of God. And that's the thing I really would like to share with our listeners. I know a lot of you all are down and not real sure of this moment that you find yourself in, but there is hope, and there is something beyond this. And Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. And I just want to encourage you, reach out to a pastor, reach out to a local church, and know that there is hope beyond this life we're now living.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really, if you never considered attending a church or don't know where to go, not all churches are the same. There's a lot of rainbow churches out there, folks. So if you're driving by a church and they got a rainbow flag out front, that's probably not the church you want to go into. And I'll just be real honest with you, because those people they just ignored the Bible. They just ignored, the truth. So look for a Bible-believing church or a conservative Roman Catholic parish, and let's get our hearts lined up with the divine. And that's gonna make our country great again. I'll be right back.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right. Back with Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush, and my co-host, Bob Scott. We're talking about Charlie Kirk and just the fallout from that and everything everything just going on in the country right now. There's definitely a turning. This is a turning point in this country's history, and at least for our generation, something just really profound happened, and it's causing a profound impact in people's lives personally. And I don't know how many videos I've watched of folks that are like, I just didn't know Charlie Kirk. I liked him, but there's something I am grieving so much, and it is something's happening with my life that I just feel like I need to change. I need to do something, and everything that guy was saying, I think it now resonates more than ever, and it's just, and that's the effect of martyrs. When martyrs pass, their message is amplified, and it really touches to the soul, because listen, this person really believed it enough to die for it, and if that message happened to be that, hey, there's the best thing for you is to return to your spiritual roots, and for the country to return to its Christian roots, and that is the basis to help save the country. If that was the message, then that's what's being amplified, and I think it's hitting home, and it's hitting home on a point where we need it more than ever. And you can see my hat today. You might think it's a "Make America Great Again." It's actually "Make America Pray Again." It's a little play on that. So, that's exactly what we need to do, and it's what's happening right now. Last night there was a vigil in D.C. at the Kennedy Center Forum. There was also a vigil at UK. Mr. Producer, if you can pull this up, there's one at University of Louisville at 7:30 in front of Grawemeyer Hall, which is right in front of the law school there where the Thinker statue is. 7:30, college Republicans are putting it on, but it's open to everybody. And we did have a text come in about that. Somebody was asking, is the Metro Police going to be out there, and campus police and security? I would assume so. This is going to be on the campus, and I'm sure the campus police are aware of it. So I'm sure there's going to be some security out there. And have courage. At the end of the day, have courage, and don't let these. I'm going to use a word that's a little more pleasant, I guess. Don't let these communists, scare you, and intimidate you from staying home and doing what you're called to do. I'm sure you've seen this, Bob. People wearing shirts saying, "I am Charlie now." Matter of fact, you sent me this video. I'm going to play this. This is a beautiful thing. People literally all over the world are starting to respond to this. And let me, Mr. Producer, if we can pull this up, I'm going to play this.
Seeing and hearing
stuff. That's great.
Folks
all over the world,
from the entire world, around the world, that we're holding huge vigils, and we're not talking a couple hundred. It's thousands upon thousands of people that have absolutely turned out to show their support for Charlie. And in fact, that you were referring to the text a little bit earlier. You meant the texter also said there were many young folks at the Nate Morris Charlie Kirk event that happened June 30th. So I'm at a loss for words. It's not that often it happens, but God is all I can say. Right now that I do feel very strongly. I had a serious health event that happened about 5-6 years ago. And the word that the Lord gave me at that time came from Psalm 46:10, in which he says, "Be still and know that I'm God." And I do feel right now that God is wanting to encourage us and be still and pray and trust him and see his hand, that's going to bring forth, I believe, revival and blessings like we have never seen, as a nation.
Bob, I'm going to read this text. It just came in, and this is just an explanation point, what you were just saying. And this guy chokes me up, honestly. I had to share that your show is really at least partially responsible for my recent awakening. And this is talking about our show here. I started listening only the past few months. I'm coming from being raised and living in the leftist viewpoint and no religion. Some of your viewpoints I realized were very much common sense, so I kept listening. The mainstream does somehow keep you away from God and make you think that you have to use your own power. I went to Southeast Christian Church for the first time 2 weeks ago. I'm going to be baptized very soon. Your show is so important. So, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. That tears me up. That's the most important thing right there. Bottom line, it's just because there is an eternity, there is a God, there's a real spiritual world. We're all going to see him one day. There's, if you really want to dig into that and just really build your faith, I mean, just read about after death experiences and people, coming face to face with their Creator, and just that there is something beyond this life, but there's also something. There's power and there's life that can be poured into your life now while we live here. Power and strength, and
Yes.
it's just. Well, anyway, I'm going to start preaching here, Bob.
No,
this is a political show. We're supposed to talk
right
politics.
ahead. In fact, I'll be honest with you. I'm wiping away lots of tears right now from that.
Yeah.
Person
That's
that just texted in, and that's right. I mean,
that's right.
You know what? I just want to tell people, if you're out there and you don't know Jesus, just know that Jesus loves you.
And it's easy. It's so easy too. People think it's so hard to be a Christian. You don't have to clean yourself up. That's not what God's about. It's all about just trusting in him and just asking for his grace and his love, and he'll clean you up. You don't need to clean yourself up. He'll clean you up. If you say you're living in some things, you're just questionable and don't worry about that. Just put your trust in him and start moving that direction, and he will change your life, and you'll be so much better for it. And I think that's happening around the world and around this country. Maybe this is the awakening moment. It could be the awakening moment that we've all been waiting for. Folks that have been kind of craving this. Hey, we've seen America go off the rails culturally for so many years, and we knew that it's a spiritual problem. But nature abhors a vacuum, and the culture and the world has tried to fill that vacuum with the isms that they think are the Marxism or wokeism or all these things to give you this pseudo-religious experience, but it's been so empty, and people and also it has this evil tinge to it that works itself out at the end of the day, and it's like, well, this is not the answer. Well, what is the answer? And then so I think
my Bible says, and I know to be true, Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, the life." And it's as simple as this: no one comes to the Father, no one, but by me. And as you said, he says, who did Jesus hang out with? The undesirables when he was here walking amongst us.
Yeah, the religious folks would condemn him. So you're hanging out with all these people.
They did condemn him.
You're in the bar. What are you doing?
But yeah, he had the tax collectors, the people that had been prostitutes.
That's right.
These were the people that he came to, and again, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's just you getting to a point of just saying and surrendering and just say, Lord, I need you, especially in a time that we find ourselves in. There is hope, and that hope alone is Jesus, and he's there. And I could tell you, Tom, I'm far from perfect. I have done my share of sinning in my lifetime, and it is simply by the grace of God, that he has saved me and brought me to a point that I can now share the good news. And that's what the gospel message is. It's good news that's available to anyone. Come all ye that are heavy laden and burdened down, and I will give you rest, is what Jesus says. And he's there. He's standing at the door. He's knocking and saying, come in, come to me. And it's as simple as you said. You just need to open up your heart. Bible says, confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, and you shall be saved.
And that's it. That's the solution. I'm going to play this video in Charlie Kirk's words about what this is about as well. So,
how do you want to be remembered? If I die, everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
I don't know if you know this, but everyone dies. It's important to remind yourself of that. That you face God, the judge, and he's going to list everything you did wrong in your life. It's going to be a long sentencing hearing for me. Will you get justice, which is hell, because that's what we deserve. Mercy, which is less of that, which I'll allow the theologians to figure out what that is. Or grace. What is grace? Grace is something so unique, so different, so profound. Which is as soon as the sentencing's about to be ushered in, someone comes in and says, no, I will serve that prison sentence for him. I will go into the prison cell for him or her so that they can live forever. That's grace. You didn't earn it. You didn't check boxes for it. You didn't go park cars for a ministry and that gets you extra points to go to heaven. None of that's true. It's that it's equally accepted for all people that allow Jesus Christ to be your Savior, the Savior of the world, to be born new, and to be completely and totally renewed. That's a gift that we must try to give all people in the world.
I mean, I've had an unbelievably blessed life. Been doing this now, it'll be 12 years on June 5th.
Such a young man to do it.
So young.
Yeah, so praise God. I mean, I've been all across the world. I've met with world leaders. I've flown in Air Force One, got to know a president. I have an amazing family, podcast, Turning Point USA, all that stuff. And so you experience that, and you're like, what actually matters? What matters is your relationship with the divine, your relationship with your family, your kids, and maybe a close collection of friends, and your relationship with the truth. And you could decide to lie all the time, then you become a tortured individual, and you know those people, you just turn on television, they're constantly lying, and they just become like disfigured either emotionally, spiritually, or physically. Because when you lie, I believe you're actually committing suicide of the soul. I really believe that.
Are you a Christian?
Very, very much so.
Like, why is that exactly?
Jesus saved my life. I'm a sinner, gave my life to Christ, most important decision I ever made.
So you believe the Bible is real?
Yes, I believe the Bible is true and real. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I could give you the technical answer. There's never been an archaeological discovery that has contradicted the truth of the Bible. And then, of course, the wisdom. There is not a truth of the Bible that if you apply to your life does not improve dramatically. And then finally, we have the most accurate and transparent, historically robust account that one can have of the most important figure ever to live in the history of the world, Jesus of Nazareth. And the